Welcome to my apiary. It's December the 2nd, 2021. It's just treacherous out here. Look at this. It's just ice. You can hardly walk on it. I slipped a couple times already. Very dangerous. The scale of it, there's little I can do about it. It got really warm yesterday. Yesterday, the high temperature was 5°C. A lot of melting, a lot of water running. It wasn't sunny. There would have been a lot more had it been sunny, but it was overcast yesterday, but 5°C. It's minus 7°C right now, so everything's frozen well. I've got a bit of a north wind. I don't know if you can hear it in the camera, but it feels like I don't know, minus 12 or something. It's a little cool on the hands to be out here too long without gloves. So my fan ran all day yesterday, and you may remember that I increased my intake ventilation yesterday, this year. Didn't do it yesterday. I increased it this year. I had a 7-inch round chimney, and I took that all out and it left a 14.5-inch square hole. So that's a huge increase in intake capacity. And the problem was before that there was so much intake restriction on the far side of the building. My fan is on the exact opposite corner of the building than the intake. So the theory is that the air will move across the building. See, there it's coming on again. But the problem was that there was so much restriction on the intake that the fan was just sucking air in under the doors. Here, the doors are really terrible, need to be dealt with, but anybody want to send me a couple $1,000s, I'll deal with the doors. So the fan wasn't really cooling the building very well. It was just kind of circulating air coming in under the door and out the fan. So now, with less restriction on the intake, the air is coming across the building, cooling the bees, cooling the building. The temperature sensor, is hanging from the ceiling directly in the center of the building. So it gets a good average temperature there. This is set to come on at 4 degrees, 4 to 4.5. Targeting about 4°C on this. It's kind of what I'm getting at. The specifics aren't necessarily that relevant, but I'm targeting 4 degrees. I think it shuts off about 3.5, and it heats to about 3.5, somewhere in there. So even at minus 7, using a minus 7 air intake, this wasn't off for very long. It was only off for 5-10 minutes just now. And this is a 4-speed fan. This is second speed, I'm sure of it. The low speed on the fan is operated by the carbon dioxide sensor in there. So with some ventilation, the carbon dioxide never rises enough to kick on the ventilation fan. When it gets really cold outside, and I'm talking minus 15 or colder, then the building just sheds that heat, and the ventilation fan, the cooling fan, doesn't start, and the heater actually may start to keep the temperature up. So then when that's happening, the heater starts, keeps the temperature up, it shuts off, the CO2 rises, the ventilation fan starts to ventilate the air, get the air quality up, get some fresh air, and then that'll shut off. Then the heater starts up again. They just tag team back and forth the whole time on about a couple of minute intervals. Let's go in there and see how the bees are doing. I was in there yesterday. It was nice because 5 degrees outside, it was 5 degrees in there. So my new ventilation's working. Put in a few more lights this year, some improved red lighting. And I should add that the fan, between the fan and the improved intake, I think you can just see the improved intake over there. White super screwed to the wall, that's the improved intake. So between that, or the improvement in the intake, has meant that 190 colonies in here aren't a problem. It's cooling that just fine. I think I need to adjust this a little bit, get a little bit more margin there, because this heater is warming this to 4, and that's cooling it to 3.5, so that's not very productive. I'll fix that. So this is what 190 colonies looks like in here. Not that many. And it's dense because I've got a whole bunch squeezed in against the wall here. They're not my colonies. And that's not a problem. But I need access to my colonies here. There's an insurance program that we take part in here. Then the guy comes about New Year's Day and end of December, and he wants to count the hives. He wants to see that they're all alive. So I need access. I'm actually going to take, I think, my insulation off, because that hampers that process a little bit. If there's no insulation, I can use my FLIR camera, F-L-I-R, forward-looking infrared, that stands for, and I can take a picture of that whole stack, and then he can just see, yep, everything's good here. Makes the work really easy. He's got a FLIR camera too, but it's not like that, and it seems really hard to use. It seems way more expensive and really hard to use. But it's government, so you know, kind of expect that sort of thing, right? So let's take a little bit closer look on some of these colonies. I'll use my little, this is a Duracell brand headlamp, and I didn't know it when I bought it. I bought it before I had bees, but it actually has a red light mode. I just tap the button. Actually, I hold the button, and it goes into red light mode. Look at that. Kind of neat. So it's very handy, because I can just go like that and look at the girls. Like that. Look at that. They're looking nice and content in there. This one doesn't look very good at all, does it? There's a cluster back in there. Some of these clusters aren't very big, but look at these nukes. These nukes look great, so we'll look at the nukes. Camera doesn't want to focus for me. So this one's all, if there's anybody in there, they're all tucked up. I'm sure there are, because these nukes were terribly strong. Look at this pallet. Smashed it with my forks. Oh well. One thing I've learned from Ian is it ain't about the box, it's about what's in the box. So, worry too much. That one's looking really nice. I think we've got a lot to work with here. They're looking pretty good. Some of the clusters hanging down aren't that big, but you know, they go right up in there. They're actually wandering around out here. They might be experiencing slightly higher temperature because they're kind of about 8 feet from that heater fan. So, you know, we're not looking at universally strong clusters, but you know, some of them don't look very good at all. So you can see at the end here, I've got hives from another beekeeper over here in the end. Obvious to I mentor. She does really good. Her bees are really strong. Looks to me like the smartphone is compensating for the light. Believe you me, it is very red in here. It's not extremely bright, but my eyes my eyes acclimate to it, and I can see pretty well, just fine. There's seven lights in here, Captain Picard. There's 7 lights.
There are 4 lights!
No, there's 7 lights. Anyway, I gotta go fix that fan. It's fighting with the heater. Can't have that. That's counterproductive. It's hard on the electric bill. I don't know if I can show you what I'm doing or not, but this has 4 relays in it. I can set the set points independently, and well, what I'll do is I'll do this. I'll show you. So the heater is set to 4, and it's reading 3.5. And the cooling set to 3.5, and it's reading 3.5. So you can see that that's ridiculous. So what I can do is I can raise that set point to. I can just lower the heater to 3.5. See what happens. So go in here, and I need to turn off the synchronization option. I can't see the buttons for the phone. So that's got sync. No. Alright, so exit. Now I can go back in there. Program relay 1 set point 3.5. Exit relay 2 set point 4. Exit relay 3 set point 4.5. Okay, I kind of did this and it just got messed up, I guess. Relay 4 set point 5. So what that means is that the fan will stage up faster and faster as the temperature rises. Anything over 5, it'll be running full speed. So exit this. So exit. And I have to hold that again. And then I want to turn on the outputs, options, sync to yes. Exit. Okay, so now what do we got? So the sensor is reading 4. The heater will start at 3.5. The differential is half, so it'll actually start at 3 and heat to 3.5. And the cooling will start at 4.5 and cool to 5, or cool to 4. So we got 4, we got 4.5, we got 5. So all good. Okay, solved that little problem. Okay, we'll do a little tour here. So because my face isn't in it, it's not compensating for the red now. So we have 4 across here, 4 across, 4 high. We have a whack of colonies over here. 27 over here. And another 4 across and 4 high here. My tripod in the corner. 6 across, 4 high here. 4 across, 4 high here. So, you know, jam them right in. But there's lots of space, you know. I've got space for a lot more than I think I even want to run. I don't want to run a lot more than this. So I've got my big freezer at the end there. The honey house gets taken apart. Uncapper and extractor and stuff over here in the corner. So that's the bee barn tour. Empty cardboard boxes I haven't moved out. Pressure washer staying in out of the cold. What more can I say?